Hi, show here today as we dive into the Bible. And I'm so excited. I was so excited to record this video about the insights that I found as I read through the Bible with God that I didn't even take a shower. I did put on a little bit of lip color, um, but so I wouldn't be too scary this morning. But I just was so excited, and we're diving into Matthew 5 today with the theme. Let me just remind you that our theme is, are we elevating man over God or God over man? Now, Matthew 5, there's so many insights to get out of here, but this is just a rich, rich chapter. But what jumped out at me was verse 4. And really, part of what made it really jump out to me was the fact that I'm using a different Bible version than I have before. Most of the Bible versions that we go through Matthew 5 with, or at least me, have always worded it in that, for verse 4, blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Well, this version that I'm using is the Holman Christian Standard Bible, and it words it differently. It said, those who mourn are blessed, and they will be comforted. So they put the blessed in a different place, and that totally threw me for a loop. Because when the blessed comes first, I always thought it came from a standpoint of the person looking at the one who was mourning. And it was a reminder to them, oh, bless their hearts. Have compassion on them. Bless them because they're going through a hard time. But when they word it as in, those who mourn are blessed, that blew me away and gave me a totally different perspective I had never considered. So I have some visual aids today, and I'm kind of using emojis. So I look at this and I'm like, okay, this is someone who's mourning. This does not look like someone who is blessed. Likewise with this guy. This one does not look like he is very blessed. He looks like he is very seriously having a mourning moment, season, whatever. So I really had to step back, and I really had to, for me, I had to dissect it. I had to figure out, what does that mean? So anyway, where did I start? I had to start, okay, what makes us mourn? So immediately my mind went to, the death and the loss of a loved one. And most of us have experienced that to some degree or another. And it's a time that we do mourn, and we mourn deeply. So as I was considering that, I thought, how can we be blessed when a loved one dies? It's hard. Initially, it's almost impossible because it's so raw. But once we move beyond it, or if you're like me, just on the outside looking in from it, not in that season right now with the loss of a loved one, I thought, why do we mourn so much? We mourn from a point of ourselves because we've lost someone that means a lot to us, someone that we love. And I thought, love is always a blessing. So it stood to reason to me to think that we're mourning because of love, and love is always a blessing. Now, the blessing is, we were blessed to live with that person, then we lose them. But then we still have, all the memories and everything, and of course that's a blessing. But I think the love is what stood out to me. And my husband and I recently put down one of our beloved, one of our fur babies, our dog Newman. And that helped me process it a little bit better. I don't want to compare the loss of a pet. It's huge. Not near like mourning the loss of a parent, a child, a dear friend. But it helped me understand in that Newman gave us so much joy, and he blessed us so much when he was alive, that when he passed, someone asked me, are you going to get another dog? And I'm like, well, of course we're going to get another dog. Because we've decided that pain and that piercing of our heart when we have to put them down or when they leave us, it's worth all of the blessings and stuff they give us when we have them here on earth. So that helped me understand a little bit more. It's like, yes, we're going to get another dog. We're still going to love on the two that we have remaining. But that helped me understand I'm not willing to let that pain keep me from the blessings of having another wonderful fur baby in our house. So that really helped me. I don't know if that speaks to you or if that's maybe where you went when you read this, but that helped me understand that. So then I thought, what else do we mourn? And I thought, we mourn. Recently I've been mourning missed opportunities, most specifically in, my parenting. We've been empty nesters now for a while, and it's a whole new season when we launch our babies, out of the nest and they go on their own. that's a lot of times, at least me, I sat back and reflected, what did I do right? And I did a lot right. But kind of what the spotlight was really, really honed in on was what I had done wrong. And I thought, oh, so in a sense, I mourned that. I mourned the missed opportunities. Now I'm still parenting, but it's different when you parent your adult children from a from a distance. And so I used to think, and I sometimes still do, oh, what if I had done this? I could have done this differently. What if I should have, could have, would have, should have, if I'd have known better? Those things all happen to me. So I mourn those opportunities. So I thought, okay, how am I blessed in that? Well, I thought mourning is almost a starting point for something. We have to look I had to look a little bit deeper. And what I found, I wrote down a list because I know I wouldn't remember them all. I wanted to share them with you. So I'm just going to go from my list. I've found the blessings in many things of my parenting, or my parenting experience. First of all, I discovered that God fills in the gaps that I left in my parenting, and I prayed for that as a young mother. And you know what? He did it. I was blessed to have him there. So my mourning made me think of that. And I love this one especially. God's mercy forgives the gaps I left in my parenting. He knows we're from dust. He knows I'm from dust. That thought makes me feel blessed that I don't have to be the perfect parent. He understands. God reminds me that my kids turned out pretty good. And they did. My kids are wonderful. They're not perfect, but neither am I. No one is perfect. But they're pretty darn good. They're productive citizens in society. They both have jobs. They're both great kids. I have a lot of fun with them. So God reminds me of that in my morning. God shows me also that he's still working behind the scenes in their lives. And I love that. I love watching my sons dance with God at this time of their lives. I just sit back and smile, and I just watch them both work together. God is happy that I made the effort to be the best mom I could be. He's happy. He smiles on that because I prayed a lot. Yes, a lot of gaps, but I did the best I could. And he reminds me that I can trust him to still do that heavy lifting when I'm spent. And that's okay for me to rely on him. That's ultimately what he wants. Now, if I didn't mourn now and then, I wouldn't recognize and I wouldn't be reminded of all those parental blessings that God bestowed on me and still has for me as a parent, even though I'm parenting from a distance now that my boys are both out and on their own. So this is kind of my final thoughts, is when I mourn, I realize that for me, my mourning usually comes from a place of self-centeredness. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because when we do lose a loved one, it's a huge loss for us, and we need to process that. It's a whole new world opens up for us, and one that we don't want to face, but one that we need to. Those missed opportunities, yes, those are sad. They're not necessarily bad, but I need to reflect on those. And when I'm able to elevate God over myself, that's when the growth happens. That's when my mourning turns into blessings. And I can look beyond myself. When I can look beyond myself and look to God and elevate him over me when the time is right, that helps me move from that time of mourning into a place of spiritual reflection, hopefully maybe even growth. Who knows? Whatever he has for me and whatever he has for you. I learned that I cry tears, he cleanses them. I know he comforts me and dries those tears. I find grace instead of guilt. I find comfort instead of condemnation. And those are huge blessings when you're mourning. Now then, I have one more thing I want to show you. Okay, using my emojis. Remember I showed you these really sad, mournful emojis in the beginning? Well, after me sitting down and really focusing on chapter 5 and what God had to give me, I discovered two things that I'm really excited about, and that's why I sat down to do this video without showering, without doing much to myself, is I found out that this can turn to this because of this. When we elevate Jesus and what he did on the cross for us, that's how we can be mourning, but we can be blessed in that mourning, and how we can find comfort. So anyway, I hope that something jumped out to you in Matthew 5 that blessed me as much as my solo reading did with me, and I hope to see you next time.